Drive for Dempsey. You won't want too many of them as the tournament unfolds. So it will be the man from Scotland to get the first taste of the match table.
Red ball's in play.
Don't very often get a dry break out of Stevie, so Marc will be looking to take advantage. Not a bad layout this. Can leave himself on the ball to the right centre and then come down the table. The awkward ball is obviously going to be the red just to the right of the 8 ball. Just about be able to get on it in a way that he can drop it into the left centre and then hold for the ball at the bottom of the table. Oh, not quite as played. Trying to force through there. The ball does pop to the left centre. I thought he could maybe just have run that ball off the one cushion and out for it. He's trying to force down to the bottom of the table. It's going to be hard to continue from here. And having potted so many of the loose balls, not an easy place to play a safety from. Just trying to get the cue ball tight over on the left-hand side rail, such that he didn't leave Stevie a shot at the ball to the right centre. Much like we were saying in our last match, this may well be one of the more difficult matches that the players face in this group stage.
Well, of course, this group is Group 16. It's Steve and Dempsey playing Marc Fleming. Of course, in this group also, John McAllister. Wow. Brian Halcrow, Michael Gibney and John Bibby. McAllister, obviously, one of the top players. So both of these two fellows are going to have to do battle with him as well. Halcrow, of course, from Newcastle in the northeast of England. Another one of the ultimate pool professionals. So it's, you think Gibney and Bibby are going to have their work cut out trying to oust one of these 4 players in this group.
Yeah, that's going to be the dynamic a lot this weekend with the qualifiers. Both experienced players though. Mike Gibney plays a lot with Craig Waddingham, so he'll know what it's like playing a top player on a regular basis. Neither player able to get the job done at the first visit in this frame, but Stevie Dempsey with the tactical upper hand. Marc can see enough to pot this ball straight, but he's looking at whether he can play red off yellow. Oh, that's a great shot. Oh, how's his luck? Oh, I think he's okay. Well, that was a fantastic shot from where he was, and he'll be happy with where the cue ball's landed up.
Ooh, didn't want that little kiss.
So annoying. When you play a great shot like that, you just want to get the finish completed. Instead of that, he's undone all the hard work.
Just seeing if you can get off the bottom rail now, go into the 8 ball. He's going to try and shunt it up the tail and off the yellow into the middle bag. Oh, he's hung it. Just caught it a little thick there. I think he wanted a thinner contact or straight behind it. We'll have another look. Bit more legs.
Well, that was almost an early contender for our clearance of the weekend. He played a great shot, a couple back to get into that position. Almost found a way. As it is though, Stevie Dempsey invited back to the table with a much more straightforward pattern this time. Just wants to draw the cue ball back slightly from the ball up to the top left for the ball to the opposite centre.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect the hammer to miss these.
Choice of middle or corner here. Corner's his choice.
Ireland's top player. He's going to finish off with this last yellow and a very simple black ball, and it's going to be 1-0 to the man from the Emerald Isle.
Ireland taking an early lead against Scotland. Marc Fleming did have his chances in that frame. Well, that's a better break. Yellow ball just squeezing its way in. Ideal to be straight back to the table, just put the mishap to the last frame out of his mind.
Yeah, be quite keen to knock these reds in now, Fleming. They're all available. Doesn't miss many pots, Marc Fleming. Sometimes a little bit, I don't know, haphazard with the cue ball, would you say, now and again? But his potting, he's a superb long potter.
Yeah, those things so often go together, don't they? I don't know which way around it comes. You're not great at position, so you become a good potter, or you're such a good potter you don't need to be good at position.
I think it tends to come with you when you first start playing and you're out of position all the time. You have to knock in long pots to stay in the frame, and it then becomes a habit.
We're talking about fine margins, of course. It's not to suggest that Marc's not a good positional player, but everybody has bits of the game that they're better and worse at.
This kind of goes back to what Tom was sort of saying last night, where some players try and play very precise on balls and use a lot of side to get on a ball when you can leave it further away. And I think that's where this comes in. And I used to do it, to be fair. I think now I can play side and get around this ball and make it really easy. And that's a more complicated shot to try and do that. Whereas Tom will leave himself, I don't mind, I'll just leave myself length of the table, I'll just knock the pot in. Judged that well. If all we had to do was hit that black ball half ball and it was no good.
Yeah, having talked up his potting, he's actually played the positional side of this frame really well.
Yeah, and very quickly this black for Fleming to pull back level.
His brother Ryan, also an ultimate pool professional, comes from a good heritage, that family.
He's in one of the other groups, isn't he?
16 groups of 6. They've got 96 men, well, 95 men and 1 lady. Amy Beecham also playing this weekend. But they will know the importance of not counting their chickens. You've got to do the simple stuff well at the beginning of tournaments. Try first time out, but got a bit more power into it that time. It's got pretty much all the balls in the top half of the table. As a result of that, it's actually not as much space to work with as he'd have liked. Just having a hard look at those 2 balls at the top of the table, the red and yellow near the top right corner. Just a bit awkwardly placed. Just looking at whether he can play red off red to just open that pocket up slightly. Or maybe he feels he doesn't need to. Maybe we can just sneak past the yellow. Given this plenty of thought. Well, good news, bad news. Did just have enough space to sneak through and pot the ball clean, but managed to knock the other one safe now. He's got a good angle to come straight back into it and flick it out. He's just got to be careful that he gets quite a thin contact. Doesn't get stuck near the ball cushion. Oh, that's a perfect shot. That is beautifully judged.
Can't tell you in Group 2, which is Carl Sutton, Simon Fitzsimmons, Colin Bradford, Denny Buckle, Josh Yahaz and Chris Hampson. Sutton has beaten Hampson 6-0 in his opening match. So Carl Sutton, obviously the runner-up in this year's World Championships, has started off very strongly in Group 2.
The very definition of a man in form at the moment, Carl Sutton. Always seems to pull out his best results at the World Championships.
Yeah, very solid performer is Carl. Just had a little glimpse of Rona McCarthy there on the sidelines, looking on. Of course, the current world champion.
Yeah, a very well-deserved one. Although you've got to spare a thought for Carl Sutton. He came so close to winning that world title that he wants so much.
Super pot there from Dempsey. Sorry to jump the subject there, Mark, but just control the cue ball through that little gap. Now you want to play this firm into the top left-hand corner, screw the cue ball into the side rail and back out and try and get the black in the middle behind him. Super shot. Very well navigated there by the man from Ireland.
Yeah, super shot and a super clearance. He's had to do a bit of work in this frame. Very good stuff from Stevie Dempsey, proving why he is sitting at number 3 in the provisional rankings. And what a season they've both had as well. Although they can appear quite light-hearted off the table, they both really mean business when they're in a tournament.
A formidable partnership in the pairs as well. And a nice split there for Fleming.
Important frame this for Marc, just getting things back on level terms.
Yellow balls in play.
Quite proper races, these matches. Sometimes when you have a group section of a tournament you end up having shorter races, but first to 6, although they go very quickly at a pro level, you feel like you've got time to get into it still.
Yeah, you get things like, let's say for instance the mini-series which is coming up in October. That is the over 50s, but they play in the same for the groups format, but that's a race to 3. So you have a bad break at that, you're immediately in trouble.
Yeah, that's a tough format, isn't it? Everyone generally enjoys the groups because it guarantees them a few matches, but races to 3 at any kind of proper level over in the blink of an eye. Play a couple of delicate shots in this frame, navigated it well.
I think he's got a slight angle there, he can just punch the cue ball out. It's making it slightly harder now. Still got to cut down the cushion. The thing here, he doesn't really want to contact that red on the rail. If he could snip it in with a load of right hand side, because you're going to screw into it. And he's played out very well indeed. That was the thing, he didn't really want to contact that red because you could land all sorts of awkward places. But now, another good reply from Fleming. And both players firing on all cylinders at the start.
Yeah, there's a couple of slightly scrappy moments at the very beginning, but since then they both seem to have found their stride.
That's a fair break.
Yeah, his break's on an upward trajectory. Dry the first time. Look how many he's spotted this time. Just coming around to look at whether that yellow passes the red to the right centre.
I think he likes the reds.
I don't think the red that's frozen to that yellow pot's clean into the middle, so he may just have to run into that. Well, maybe he feels it does go.
We can see he can get through to the red in the left-hand centre, past the black and that red, if he so chooses. Like you say, the unanswered question is whether the red next to the yellow passes into the right-hand centre.
I don't think he was playing for this gap, but this hasn't turned out too bad.
No, it's nice just to get this one out of the way, actually, because you can get rid of the two reds beneath the black. I think it goes, you know. It has to go because you wouldn't play to be on that there. He just wants to leave an angle so he can just drop it in. What he doesn't want to do is leave himself Chinese snookered on the last red if he's playing that into the left-hand centre, because you know, he wants to be able to get to see all of the cue ball to get onto the black. It's a bit when finishes look easier than what they actually are. I mean, it looks quite simple, but one little loose positional shot can make everything turn out completely different. I wonder if the thing with this is it only just goes and he wants to dribble it in, and he can't afford to try and play this with any pace. And that's his concern, because if you do dribble this in and the cue ball takes a funny roll, you could end up stuck behind the yellow as well. Maybe he's teasing us all along.
This has always been the issue. When you look at it from the overhead, it looks like it definitely doesn't go. When you look at it from the main camera, it flies in.
Absolutely. What were we going on about?
It's a deceptive overhead view that made it look like it didn't.
Now, is he going to have to go all the way up to the top of the table and back down again? Cool. Can he just screw into the gap between the two yellows? Will he be able to see enough of the 8 ball? No, he's having to go up and down. Play that well. Always going to leave himself a shot into the middle. Had to play it firm. Couldn't risk trying to get on it any other way. I know it's gone a little bit further than he'd have liked, and it is a tricky shot into the centre, but it is very gettable for Dempsey. Very, very good finish there from Stevie Dempsey, and he once again edges a frame ahead. Well, a much trickier layout is presented to Marc Fleming than the previous ones. Even though there have been some good finishes, this just looks at another level to try and get these.
Yeah, both players seem to have relished going after some quite difficult chances, but hard to fancy it from this position. Different story, of course, if the cue ball's in the middle of the table and he's got more choice for the first shot, but options very limited from where he is. It's always hard to know how to play these situations, because sometimes you want your opponent to have the first chance, but at the same time you don't just want to leave an open table.
Yellow ball's in play.
Well, he's got the yellow. He didn't really want to nudge the 8-ball behind, or sorry, in front of those three on the left-hand side of the table, so he's chosen his colour, but he's going to have a heck of a lot of work to do if he's going to try and take on the finish, which he's obviously not, and elects to hand the table over to Stevie Dempsey, who is now on the reds and can't see any of them.
That 8-ball going there kind of made Marc's decision for him. If he'd had any thoughts of going for an adventurous clearance, that was straight out the window.
Absolutely.
He's played a pretty positive shot there. You could have made an argument for leaving the 8-ball tied up to your colour, knowing that your opponent couldn't do much with it. Played the positive shot though, knowing that he could get a good snooker.
Well, I think Steve can get through the gap between the black ball and the yellows on the side rail. He's just looking to see if he can contact that and play a plant. This would be some shot if he got it. Bit harder, Stevie. It was going up the rail. I think the clock just sort of did for him there, didn't he? He heard the beeping start and just sort of threw his arm at that one a little bit.
Yeah, with the benefit of hindsight, harder, even if he doesn't pot the ball, is probably better because he gets it nearer to the pocket. And the fact that Marc played that positive shot to open his yellows up now means that he comes back to the table with a much better chance than he had when he was last here.
All about the yellow in the middle of those three in the side rail. That's the tricky one. Does he try and move it? Does he leave himself a double? And all these questions need answering, Marc. What would you do, Marc? Would you leave that yellow and just leave a straight double at the end?
Yeah, I think so. It's in such a good place for a double. He also doesn't really have an angle off either of these balls to get into it. Well, I was going to say, I suppose it's one of those ones if a chance presents itself.
Well, he could pop this into the bottom left-hand corner and just bit of screw him right-hand side, cue ball off the side rail and just bump it past the other yellow and near to those two reds. You'd be on the other yellow in the middle, and that one will be available in the other middle pocket. Like that.
It was a good choice of shot, because if he doesn't land nicely on it, he can just play for the straight double, and if he happened to get a good chance, well, that was pretty perfect. There's never zero risk when you play it like that, because he could have punted the yellow too far, but he controlled it well.
Yeah, played it very nicely. Just deciding if he wants to just stop the white dead and cut the black down the rail, or does he want to screw it back and have it a bit more straight. This is the correct option, because if you didn't screw back too far, you could leave yourself bridging over those two reds. So I think this is just a sensible way to do this. All Marc's got to do is make sure of the pot. Cue balls, you've got to worry about that. Nice and gently down the rail. Well, he just overcut that one, didn't he? But what's he left Dempsey?
Decided to go firm. Could have been a case for just trickling it down.
Yeah,
to be
just
positive.
caught the thin edge, just too thin. Played it with a little bit of right hand side as he cued it, and I think that just that tiny bit of spin on that cue ball just threw it a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes you say that sort of helping side when you put it down a rail, but you can end up coming offline as he did.
Well, a lot of players, and I used to be one of them, I used to like to cuts down rail. I'd always play a bit of side on, because it sort of it lends itself to the little bit of spin to hug the ball down the rail. And he did what I would have played probably the same shot, but he didn't want to catch it so thin. Dempsey, that's all he could do was play this snooker, and Fleming's going to attempt to swerve round. Wondered if he could go off the top rail with a bit of right hand side and check it back, but well, let's have a look at this.
Oh, great shot.
Oh, fantastic shot from Marc Fleming. And there's one for the highlight reel.
Let's have another look at this.
Knows how to play a masse. Very well done indeed. And neither one of these players able to get away from the other. It's mainly been Stevie Dempsey, one up, Fleming pulls level.
Felt like quite a harsh dry break there when you look again at that replay. He caught it pretty flush, hit it pretty hard.
That's his second one. I think the very opening frame, I think Dempsey went dry as well.
Yellow balls in play.
You've got a break as powerful as that, you wonder how you ever come dry, but that's 2 out of the last 4 now. He was just hoping that he might have freed up the other yellow as part of that. Couldn't quite guarantee where the second ball was going. He's got one more shot to play.
Well, it's been high in quality, this match, that's for sure. There's been some tremendous finishing from both players.
Definitely wouldn't have looked out of place in the knockout stages of this tournament.
No, that's absolutely right, Mark.
Marc Fleming's not a player you necessarily talk that much about when you're talking about potential tournament winners. He's up to number 33 in the rankings already in his second season as a pro. It shows you the kind of results that he's having.
It's one of these players, if the balls come out for him, you know, he's got all the tricks and shots in his locker.
He's just been trying to find himself an angle to get into the yellow and red that are tied up. Couldn't find a way into it with the cue ball, so decided to play one ball off another. And that's the kind of shot that either looks great or makes you look stupid when it goes wrong like that.
Yeah, the trouble with that shot there, you didn't really know where the other balls were going either. It was a kind of, I'm not going to say a hope of where the balls go, but there was less control in it. I think he was forced to do it because I don't think he had the angle anywhere else to get on that awkward yellow, so he kind of had all his eggs in one basket, and well, it's not worked out for him, and it's now the man from Ireland at the table.
The only saving grace was that the ball's finished a little bit awkward. Stevie's played a great first shot. She landed nicely on the ball to the top right, but he's obviously got to take that one top left because that was the tricky one to land on. And they have to come back for the one that's slightly covered at the top of the table.
I think if he can get tight to that right-hand cushion, he can just get past the yellow. Just enough to pot the red into that right-hand corner. He's going to have to come back to it at a later date as well. Could even leave it till last ball. I'm not sure he'll want to, but that might have to be his way around this.
It's been a match of kind of difficult tariff clearances so far. It's like neither player is getting to the table with a simple roll in. They're always having to pick out a finish and to spend quite a lot of time as a result. We're hearing the pips quite a lot. Both players planning out their routes.
Dempsey just checking that he's not left Marc Fleming a clear path to a yellow.
Getting close to potting the red, which would have been a bad outcome. Obviously just playing it really as a safety shot, because you can see he's got full cover on the 3 yellows.
Yeah, he wanted to get the cue ball right behind the black ball there, but Marc's giving us nothing away. No, you see he can't get through, so he's coming off the side cushion.
Where's the cue ball? Oh, that's a bit unlucky from where he was.
That helps Stevie Dempsey getting on that red at the top now as well.
Yeah, I mean, ball in hand here is massive.
Told you if you got tight to that rail, you'd be able to pot it. There he is, and that's how tight he's got.
Yeah, so much easier. You were saying you didn't really want to leave it till last. Taking it now is ideal.
Yeah, if we can pot this and just get on the red that's near the blue spot into the centre, leave an angle on the next red into the centre so we could kick the black off the rail as well.
Again, just slightly running out of time, but had made up his mind good enough as to what he wanted to play. Would have liked a couple of extra inches up the table.
Well, she's going to now just knock this over the bag. Simple red into the middle and just play it down the rail.
Yeah, this has turned out nice. Yet again, good finish, this time in a couple of instalments.
And once again, Dempsey gets himself one in front.
He's always like the slightly more likely winner of the two, but there's never been much in it, so I guess you'd say the scoreline has been a fair reflection on the way the game's gone. Not as well hit that break. You saw the cue ball flying over to the left-hand side of the table. Just not quite a straight contact on the front ball, which meant that some of the power went missing. I think that's been the pattern of this match, a kind of messy table layout to greet Stevie.
Red balls in play.
Pulled out a good first shot. That wasn't by any means guaranteed. He'll be fairly happy. The yellow's come past that red, so the ball that's nearest the left centre, there is a bit of space to work with around it. All players, when they turn up for their first match, dream of having really easy chances where you just roll the balls in each time. But actually, if you're looking at this from the perspective of the tournament as a whole, this has been quite a good warm-up match for both of them. Both had to play some difficult shots. They've both mixed it up well as well. It feels like they've got a good balance between attack and defence.
Yeah, clever little shot there from Dempsey. Couldn't pot the red, so he's developed it and basically forced Marc Fleming into playing an absolute nothing shot now. Nowhere to go with this. He's going to try and get the cue ball behind the red up in the top corner there to try and contain Stevie. He's played that as well as he possibly could. But Dempsey now, he could just tap into this as well, leave him stuck behind it. He's just waiting for his chance here, Stevie. He feels that this could be the time to make a little move and just get himself onto the hill in this match. The first breakaway, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want, isn't it? It's hard work when you take it one frame at a time. Not the easiest shot, this. The angle he's playing it at, you've got to be really delicate. Made that look trivial, but really...
No, he's got a nice touch as well, Stevie. I hated those shots. So all my game was, you know, was playing, hitting the ball quite hard, and then when you have to try and play one of those little things, you end up feathering it and not even getting to the rail, or miss it completely.
Yeah, it's like the thing when you see snooker players try and roll up to a ball colour and leave it short. Wouldn't have minded, of course, if that red had fallen in. It would just have been loss of turn.
Well, he's left him on the red next to the black ball. I'd be inclined to, if he can drop this in and hold for the red into the left centre, I'd be inclined to take this now.
Didn't dare play it dead slow, which he'd have needed to
No,
do
well,
to hold.
the red right in the middle of the table, it must go into the right-hand centre. I didn't look at that, to be fair. I didn't think it went, but it obviously does. Well, I want to play the red into the bottom left-hand corner now, surely, while he's on it. That's his toughest red.
It's not a bad position to play it from either. He's got a bit of space to work with the cue ball. Yellow was kind of a good target. It just showed him where he needed to be. Seems like every clearance has been of a similar pattern so far. Tough finishes, but Stevie always just seems to have had the key to it.
Well, this is the shot. Gets on that red into the centre. This frame will be over. He's left that thinner than he liked.
Yeah, the fact he's got a lot of angle now brings in that yellow that's at the bottom of the table. Very well controlled.
Yeah, it's a lovely shot there from Dempsey. Hard to play that at such a soft pace. There's a very good finish there from Stevie Dempsey, and now he gets himself 2 in front for the first time.
A bit less pace that time. The cue ball wasn't bouncing around in the way that it was in the early part of the match.
Ronan and Declan still in attendance. And Josh Kane is now edged into the arena as well, looking on.
Well, Josh Kane's had a fair bit of time looking at this arena. It's last man standing appearance where he just sat out in that arena for a day and a half before he had to play a frame. Yeah, there's the Irish duo looking on.
Well, did not expect that from Stevie Dempsey.
Should have been a victory lap after doing so much hard work to get 5-3 up. And Marc Fleming, having really not been gifted very much by way of easy chances, is going to have his easiest one of the match.
Yep, Dempsey's thrown him a bone there.
Yellow ball's in play.
And if he can wrap this frame up, it's going to be Fleming to break off in the next. And if he can go breaking out, we're going to be down to a 1-frame decider for this group match. You never know, it could be very, very important come tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, that's always the funny thing. You have these couple of days of group matches, and it sometimes feels like there's not a lot to play for when you've qualified, but actually a frame here and there can really change your weekend.
Wanted to come a tad further.
Yeah, just wanted to leave a slight angle to drift up the table for the one on the cushion. He's now got a bit too much angle just to roll it in.
Oh, he's got to play it with pace off the side cushion. Playing it with a bit of left-hand side. Thought he'd put a bit more spin on that and got a tiny bit straighter, but it's fine. But it just means the cut's just that bit thinner. It makes it a lot more tricky. He's got to hold that cue ball in the gap of those reds. Perfect. Great shot there from Fleming.
And now these have linked up really nicely for him.
Well, Dempsey will be kicking himself there. The finishing line was staring him in the face.
Much slower pace of play than in our last match. This game has taken twice as long already as the Tom Cousins one, but it's been intriguing.
We've had 9 frames though, apart from. Tom just used his 6, and that was the end of that. Well, he's made balls, but on first glance, it's not going to be an easy, straightforward finish.
It felt like he didn't quite time it as well as he has his previous breaks. Be happy with the pot though, that was the key thing, of course.
When you look at the table now, it's all about the red that's on the right-hand cushion. That's the most awkward one to get on.
It's got a fairly good route to it, at least from his perspective. Tries to leave the ball to the right centre as straight as possible. Now, has he just come a roll too far, or can he just push the cue ball through? He wanted to just run the white out of the side cushion just below the middle pocket. I think he's got a little bit more angle than he wanted. Yeah, and too much angle in the end to play that shot. Still batting, but this isn't getting any easier, this finish.
No, it's getting trickier and trickier with each ball that's removed. Well, can he get past the 2 balls at the bottom of the table here? He's just looking. I don't think he can get into the yellow behind that red. He needs an angle to get on the black. Oh, well, he's got on the red, and this is the thing, he couldn't. It was very hard to leave himself the angle to get across for the black ball. And where does he go from here? Because he's dead straight on this red. I'm looking at see if I can see any doubles. Is there a treble? He's going cushion first, try and spin the cue ball over. It's a very good pot. The treble's not there.
I've seen one spectacular 8-ball already from Marc Fleming when he massaged out of the snooker. Can he pull out another one?
Try to see if he can play off the yellow. Can he play the yellow, black off the yellow and into the top left-hand corner? That would be a ridiculous shot, but he tried to get in the middle. It was never ever could go in the middle, because as soon as it made contact, it was always going to go forwards, the black ball, and not straight to the left. I thought his only shot there was to play thin off the yellow before that and try and get the black into the top corner, which again is like a 1 in 75 he'd get that.
Yeah, the other shot was the one you talked about. It looked like if he'd have played a different positional shot, he could possibly have left a treble. It was tight to get past the second yellow, but either way, it's gone missing.
Well, this is Dempsey's second chance to win this match. He certainly won't want to be having to rely on the third. There's 3 yellows. I mean, do you play the safety? Do you hit the yellow at the middle one of those 3 and leave the cue ball stuck between the other 2?
Well, it's in such a good spot to play it. Surely that has to be in his consideration, doesn't it?
Well, it's a very it's a hard out for me. See, the trouble is you can maybe pot that yellow into the bottom left-hand corner, and kick in the other 2, but you're not guaranteed to where to go. You could put them both on the cushion. I think the safety, and I'm not one for being much safety. I think hit this middle one and leave the cue ball stuck between the other 2.
The fact it was such a guaranteed snooker.
Do you know what I'm going to say, Mark? I don't know why he potted that yellow into the middle. He could have left that there. That would be in the way now.
Yeah, I
of
agree.
Hitting the black.
Yeah, and also, I think positionally he's in a slightly worse spot anyway. I mean, the good thing from Stevie's perspective is that even if Marc hits this black fairly firmly, he's not super likely to pot it. Not as easy a starter as he could have been left.
No, no, this is, you know, at the position we are in the match, this is awkward.
Could play another safety. Not as appealing this time though. There's a reasonably big area you could play a snooker, but there's much more risk of the 8 ball getting potted if you were to turn the table over. No, playing it well. That was the only ball he could really go after, and just had to commit to it.
Yeah, nice shot there from Dempsey. Yellow at the bottom of the table for me would be the next shot. If you can get the cue ball up into the middle of the table now, that would be his ideal position. That's fine. And that's perfect. He's left himself a little angle now. He could just soft screw this into the bottom corner, get the cue ball right behind the black. And this black ball for a 6-4 win for Stevie Dempsey.
And that's a great performance, you've got to say, from Stevie. That wasn't an easy match. Marc played his part in every part of that and seemed to be just hanging on and hanging on.